Rashar Nights. It's Rashar and One speaking. Coming to you with another tale of creepypasta. This will be a two-parter. The first part is here, and the first part is now. I was 16 years old, working at a go-kart track near a horse raceway. There's also a mini golf place right next to the golf track, and I was basically the assistant manager of the track, and I used to sit there and get people unstuck and help with the track, make sure it ran smoothly. And it was a hot summer night, and I had biked to work that day because I knew it would be cooler in the evening and wouldn't be so blistery as on the ride home would be. Sitting in the back part of the lot next to the go-kart track, there was a Blazer. It had been there for, I noticed it because it had been there for a couple hours. I'm thinking, people just park away from the people to get away from the, not having their car dinged or whatever, So, at the closing time, we started bringing out the windscreens, we started wiping off the cars, and me and my coworker, he gets in his truck and leaves. And his nice old red Chevy Suburban. And me, I had my piece of shit bike. I bought from a garage sale for $10 2 weeks prior. And now, I'm not a big guy, but from running over that go-kart track, I had pretty much a good stocky body, and I was about 5'11", weighed 250 pounds with a runner's physique. I also used to carry a knife too, because I also used to sit there and there was like a an abundance of wild I want to say wild flora, and that would just grow, thistles, needles, stuff that was there was a creek in the back that I used to throw rocks into occasionally, and but anyway, the windscreen's dropped and it's time for me to go home. I put in my headphones and start listening to Metallica, and that's when I noticed that Blazer's still there. And as soon as I start rolling out of there, after we lock up the gate, I start taking off down the street, away from the raceway park towards the strip clubs, and on my way home, down the main street there. I get down to the corner, so I'm still on the sidewalk, there's nobody's out, and I didn't want to ride in the street. And I noticed that Blazer is still there, and I kept, I'd probably hit about 25 miles per hour on the sidewalk, but the Blazer still followed at my speed. And after a couple of times of noticing this, and then knowing that I'm only going at a certain speed, it started to freak me the fuck out. And so I decided to take a back way home that's less lit, and I could get lost easier. And I also had my trusty pocket knife, which I actually had extended and clipped to my belt, ready to go. I turned down that street. The Blazer followed suit, and I just gunned it. I put everything I had into my bike. Probably hit about 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour on that little 10 speed, going around a curve, down a street, and I jumped into somebody's backyard. And that's where I met John. John was sitting on his back porch smoking a cigarette, which actually turned out to be weed. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" I tell him what's going on. I said, I'm on my way home, sir. I'm not an intruder. I mean you no harm. I said, there's a guy following me, and I just ducked in your backyard to hide from him. I didn't think he'd see me walk in here. He says, that's so. I said, well, you just stay right there. And I'm like, okay, sir. And I didn't know if this guy was going to help me or not. He comes back and says, is it a green colored blazer looking for you? It's like, yeah. He's like, he's slowly making his way down the street here, looking around with a spotlight. And I looked out my front window to see him flashing the spotlight across the street. And this just made a cold shiver just go down my spine. He's like, you know, you just stay right here, boy. I got you covered. He's like, if need be, we'll call the police. I said, no, dude, I can smell that cigarette you're smoking. It's weed. Well, I just stay here and against my better judgment, I should have called the police, but I ended up staying at John's house for about an hour and a half and partaking of the devil's weed just so I could calm my nerves. Turns out he is a 55-year-old electrician who just gotten home an hour and a half prior. He was just on his porch smoking a weed joint because he doesn't want his wife doesn't like the smell in the house. He gave me a beer and I calmed down and I thanked him. I said, I'll never forget this, sir. It's like you just helped me out a great deal. And then I borrowed my way home. I was only 3 streets away from my house. I couldn't leave the guy home. That would have been stupid. But that was like, how many years ago? I was 17 years old and I'm 32 now. You can do the math. And to that guy in the blazer, let's not ever meet.